Hello, hello. Let's see who is in tonight. Come say hello. Hope everybody's having a good week so far. Don't be shy. Come say hello. Come on. I know you would too. It has been an interesting week. Come share with me. Come on, don't be shy. What is going on out there, people? Having mic issues. Hi there, Amy. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm going to wait for a few minutes. Hey, Luna.
Which mic are you on?
Hang on. Hang on. Oops. I don't want to do that. Hang on.
Yeah.
Hang on. Just 1 second. We're having problems with mic.
Yeah, I know.
This is always fun.
This is the mic, and I don't worry about that. I'm just wondering why all of a sudden. Go to your mic settings. Come to your settings. Yeah, let me hear. You can't hear yourself, right?
No.
So I'm gonna go.
I'm sorry, guys. Hang on. I know I'm having mic issues, so hang on 1 second. Oh, it's always fun. And we tested this all before the live stream. It's always fun. Hey, Cassie. I think it's the spirits telling me something.
Okay, you're better now.
Oh, I'm better now?
Yeah.
Okay. Don't ask me. Welcome to the paranormal. Thank you, Leonard. I appreciate it so much. So, how's everybody's week doing? Hopefully good. Hey, please send the IT spirits. It's always fun. So I'm going to go ahead and start this because let me tell you, it's going to be jam-packed, this interview, because we are going to talk about something that's very interesting. And we've never talked about it before, so it's new to me, but wonderful guest, Michael, will understand. Hey, Frank. So let me introduce Michael. Michael is part of 4 different paranormal teams. He is in Dirty South Paranormal, Ghost Ships Hunter, Sirens of the Expanses, Potter Paranormal, and he also helps out with the Facebook group Para Unity. So let's bring him in. Hello.
Hello.
So 4 teams, that's busy.
Actually, yes, it is. I can't sugarcoat that one.
I mean, that's a lot. I think you're the first I've seen that has been part of so many groups.
Well, I enjoy it, and some of them are Facebook based, and so that's easy. I can post there, and other ones are I can go to locations and thankfully acknowledge all the teams at the same time, so makes it a little bit easier.
Oh, well, yeah.
Hi,
I could
cousin. Yes, my cousin from Georgia is in the house.
Hello. And guess where I live? In
Kentucky.
Georgia. Kentucky. No.
Hi, Amy. Hi, everybody.
I'm so glad y'all guys made it. Should we give them a little hint about what we're going to talk about a little later?
You know what? Let's do it.
So we are going to dabble into UFOs. And this is a first for me. I am north of Atlanta, northwest of Atlanta. So if you take a straight line, we will be in the same area. So
Hello, Frank.
it is very interesting because I've never talked about UFOs on the channel. It does fall under the whole paranormal umbrella. So I'm kind of excited about this.
It does, and it isn't one that a lot of people want to touch because it's such a controversial topic.
Yep. Ah, isn't that interesting? Luna says I'm not far from her then. Okay, so let's get started because it's going to be jam-packed. What got you involved in the paranormal?
I kind of grew up with things that I couldn't explain, and so I, for a while, just thought, well, I guess it's just unique to me, and then I saw it on TV and thought, this is pretty cool that, there's actually people that do this, and then was approached by a couple of teams to investigate, and I was like, wow, this is actually a real thing. How cool is this?
I'm sorry, Frank put hashtag team wants to get probed.
Careful what you ask for, Frank. You might not get probed by who you think you will.
Oh God, I'm sorry. he keeps it lively. I can say that. What location is your favorite and why?
I would have to say there's two that tie for my most favorite. One is in Mineral Wells because every time I go there, it's the old Nazareth Hospital. Every time I go there, I will get new experiences. I recently saw an apparition there for the first time since I was in France.
Wow.
So that was really cool. And the other one is the Old Park Hotel in Ballinger, where if you watched the Dirty South Paranormal interview, we tried to play the little girl saying, "Leave me alone, EVP," and that's where I caught that. And always having a lot of cool experiences there, and recently checked out the old Runnels jail right across the street, so that was really fun.
Yeah, it was. That was some crazy stuff going on.
Yeah, that was definitely an experience I won't forget for a long time.
We're gonna get to it. Hang on. And is there a location that you thought would be great and it turned out to be a flop?
I would have to say no, because every location I've gone to, I've either gotten EVPs or I've gotten stuff on photos or on videos. So I wouldn't say I have a location really that I've gotten absolutely nothing. Hi, Kristen.
Hang on, the mic is acting up again. Sorry.
I can hear you.
Welcome.
Audio. Yeah, put this on the American.
Okay.
Okay. That's all.
Sorry. Fun. Okay. That's me.
This is my life. Paranormal loves to mess with my everything.
Yes. It's starting to pick up even more here. So I get it. So if you could investigate anywhere in the world, where would you go and why?
Ooh, I would say the Paris catacombs, just because I think it's an area that hasn't really been investigated properly. And the underground tunnels of Scotland, because I didn't, in Edinburgh, because I didn't even know about them until someone told me about them, and I was like, "Oh, that sounds so cool."
We visited, of course, our kid was too young and I wasn't going to take him through there, but I can tell you, hey Selena. And Frank says all those locations are in Georgia.
Um, I haven't officially investigated in Georgia, but it is on my to-do list with my cousin. And there is another location there that I'm hoping to go back to, which I'll go ahead and let that spoiler out. And that was the Walking Dead set. I've been on it and walked around it, and so I'm hoping to go back and walk around it some more.
I know with Scotland, my kid, our window, I looked out the window and saw that in the where we were, our hotel room faced the Hangman's Square, and it's this raised stone where they do all the public hangings. And that night, my kid decides to have a night terror.
Well, the interesting thing is, historically, that would have been the event of the week or month, would have been to go and watch the hangings. That was a spectator sport, as we would call it today.
I mean, Scotland's awesome. Paris catacombs, I don't know. That would freak me out. I mean, there's some. Now, it depends which one. Because they got a public one and they got the real one that's underground.
Yeah, I'm talking the real one.
Ugh, no, thank you. You got the cataphiles, who are nothing but a bunch of people that go down there, drink, party, do drugs. They live down there part of the time, and ugh. And I don't do well with tight spaces, so no, thank you. It's just freaky, but it's cool. I mean, I've seen people go down there. They've got a throne made of bones.
Yeah, and I've heard rumors from some credible sources and some not so that I haven't verified yet. I should say not that they're not credible. It's just I haven't verified yet though, where behind some of the bones are tunnels to other areas.
Yeah.
So it's like
They've got a movie room
hidden.
they've got a movie room for all the cataphiles to watch. They'll bring down a projector and all that.
Yeah.
They've got, oh my God, all kinds of, I mean, it goes off in all kinds of chambers.
Right. Yeah, these are just chambers nobody has seen because nobody knew they were there. That's what I want to see is what's in the I like to see what's in locations before they clean it out.
Right. But they don't clean these out. That's the creepy thing. Yeah, great.
I'm sure they cleaned it out a little bit to get a movie screen and all that electric down there.
No, there's all kinds of chambers and whatnot down there. So it's not like jam packed full.
Right.
It's just these big, huge chambers. It's absolutely bizarre. Now there are some caves close to me that is haunted. Was used for Underground Railroad and that's interesting.
There are caves in Georgia and the Virginias and I think Kentucky too, and some in some of the northern states too that were Underground Railroad related.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot more vast than we've ever been told.
Mm-hmm. It's crazy, and of course, you had the Civil War that came straight down Tennessee. So at the border, which would be Dalton, Tunnel Hill, they've got a haunted train tunnel. And then just literally going from Dalton all the way down, there's all kinds of crazy stuff. And I won't say what channel, but a channel just did here in my town.
Oh, I pretty much think I could tell you which one it is, but I'll leave it to the suspense.
I wasn't happy about it. I mean, it just could have been done a little bit more tastefully and whatnot.
Yeah, and that was just a whole lot of mess. We didn't still, I don't think, have recovered from with that Civil War.
No, I know here in Georgia, it was up into the 90s. They were still fixing things from the Civil War, which blew my mind because I was like, really? 90s?
Oh, yeah.
We still have clay pipes for our water pipes, and we can't seem to replace those. Okay. Have you ever been touched or scratched? And can you share with us?
Well,
This is a good one.
So normally my default answer would be is my experience in Seguin at the Magnolia, but I just posted a video this week from Saturday night to where I had quite the paranormal experience of. So I'm sitting to set the stage. I'm sitting in the holding cell on the second level of a county jail, and we're all talking, and all of a sudden my leg starts to warm up, and a medium points out that someone's sitting on my leg, and I was like, yes, I can totally feel that. And then all of a sudden my right eye gets super puffy. I mean, I could feel it, like something was underneath the skin trying to pull it out kind of feeling. And I was like, and everyone's like, oh my God, your eye is getting red and puffy. I was like, yeah. And they all were like, well, there's a spirit that got hit in the eye here. And I was like, I think I know who you're talking about.
Wow.
And so, yeah, and that's the first time I've had that big of an experience, and everyone was telling me I should run or I should leave, and the first thought in my head was, if this can do this to me with all of my protection, there's no way I'm letting it out of this building. And so I stuck it out until it let go. And then I was like, okay, you're staying here.
That's creepy. Very, very creepy.
Yep.
I've never heard that any happen to anybody, so it's so wild that you experienced that.
And I've talked to one of the guys that was doing a live with the lady that was the medium. And so I asked him, and he's going to try and get me the snippet to where you can see me and the spirits, and I can see what my eye looked like. And if I can make it out really well enough, I might put it on Facebook to
That'll be
kinda
cool.
show it.
What what video was that you? I know you can't see it, but I think people are wanting to know.
The video was a new location, small interview with a friend, and doing a spirit box session on Saturday in Ballinger.
It is really, really cool. I mean, it's dark as all get out, but you can hear him saying, you hear somebody going, there's somebody sitting on your leg, and I can, everybody's, are you okay? Is your eye okay? I mean, it was just crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, I was shocked when you sent it to me. I was like, oh, damn.
Yeah, that one definitely, I was like teetering, going, where's my safety versus everybody else's? And I was like, no, I gotta stick this out.
Mm-hmm. It's a bizarre feeling, isn't it?
It is. Hey, Melly, Lunar Eclipse, you can check it out at my YouTube page. Boy, I don't remember the title of my YouTube page. It's either Michael Kopf, or sometimes I'll use a shorter version of my name.
Hang on, I'll tell you.
Well, I could probably look at my YouTube.
I got it.
But my YouTube page is all about my adventures, paranormal investigations, and just some random stuff that I think is really cool. So
It is under your name.
cool. So it's Michael, and I believe I spelled it E-A-L.
No, it's AEL.
Oh, it is A-E-L? Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
And it's Kopf, K-O-P-F. Definitely go check it out because he's got some interesting stuff on there. Very interesting. I've never been scratched, been touched. But to have that, man, that would just, you sat there and for the longest time, I was like, are you going to get up, move?
I know. I was seriously toying with it. And the odd thing is we go and we decide to go to the third level, and you would think, common sense would tell you already had your eye messed with. Let's leave the building. But nope, I go to the third level, and I go into their old library where we had some other cool stuff start happening. And just as I walked in there, I go, hey, my eye's better.
That's crazy. So it just cleared up on its own.
Yeah.
How quickly would you say?
I would say the second I left that room and we went upstairs, to being upstairs, it must be locked into that room, that holding room, that spirit, because it let go as soon as I left that room.
That's interesting.
Hey, Matthew.
Hey, Matthew. Hey, Melly. So, have you ever experienced something being thrown at you at a location, and can you share that with us?
Yes, I have, and it's a funny story. So I was at Broken Bow Asylum, and it was an investigation in tribute to a friend that had passed away who was really big in the paranormal community around here. And so I was toying with finishing up the night and keep going. So I go and I find in a room the owner is sitting down doing a session with someone who's on a spirit box, I think. And I kind of looked and she said, "Oh, you can come in." So I was like, "All right." And all of a sudden, we're sitting, standing there. And she goes, "Okay, spirits, remember the rules. You can throw anything you want in here, but you cannot hit anybody." And just as she did that, this loud bang happens right behind me with my back turned. And we all turn on the lights, and there's a prop of a bone sitting on the floor in front of like a buffet table stand like you would see at a restaurant. And we're like, "Was that it?" We're like, "No, that couldn't be it." And we gently threw it at it. We're like, "No." And then somebody goes, "I think they threw it with intent." We're like, "No." And threw it really hard. We're like, "Oh my God, that's what it was."
Mm-hmm.
And so that like blew my mind. And then we later went to another room and she's talking with the spirits and they're like, "Yeah, they're around." And she's like, "Y'all are making me look bad because you're not dropping anything in here and you're not throwing anything. So we're just going to leave." So she gets to the door and a little Halloween orange teacup light falls from the rafters of the attic. And I cannot remember if it hit her or if it was right next to her. But we all were like, "Oh, they're still letting you know they're here." So that was one location, 2 times, and I was like, "Wow, they did it on command."
That's crazy. I mean, that is so crazy. I mean, it's funny because, not that many people get that much interaction. So there's something about you.
Well, see, and I wasn't the only one there. And what was interesting is that night, I was more finding cool that we were using the little cat balls with the pyramid device
Mm-hmm.
and getting answers with that, but they would only play with one of the two cat balls. And we'd even put them next to each other, and they would only play with one, not the other, going, "Wow, this is really interesting why it's doing this."
That's crazy.
And somebody was taking a video of me, and there's like this kid laughing. And I paid no attention to it because I didn't hear it. And then later, I say something and I start to laugh, kind of like snicker laugh. And they're like, "Yeah, this isn't your laugh." And right before I started that statement, you can hear the laugh again. And so I was like, man,
Mm-mm.
something was having a lot of fun there.
The little kid laugh would freak me out. That would freak me out.
Well, I say little kid, it was a light, like a ha 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 kind of laugh. And so that's why I was
Oh,
like, I associated with a kid because I'm like, that, how many adults go ha ha ha?
right, right. That's just that's creepy. So it was messing with y'all.
Yeah,
That's insane.
it,
Okay.
it, it's insane what happens and you have no idea it's happening around you.
Oh, what?
Because I'm
My
like, yeah.
Go
Because if
ahead.
I heard that laugh, I would have been like, who's laughing? But nope, everyone
So
just keeps going on as if nothing happened.
it's creepy for me because I can hear them, see them. Um, And it's like, no. Hearing a little kid laugh would just, I've not run across, well, I take that back. There is a little kid in my house, but he doesn't, I don't hear him. He's one of these stalker, peeps in, peeps out, peeps in, peeps out, pops his head up. I'm like, and it's getting more and more as we go. I mean, the other day I thought it was the kid that popped in. I'm like, why is he up? Upstairs. I can handle that better than a little kid laughing. It's just too weird for me.
Oh, yeah.
Have you ever experienced something? Hang on. I've already talked about that one. Never mind. So since it's so packed, then I want to get to the UFO stuff. Kid laughs are creepy to even think about hearing. Tell me about it.
Yep.
So we're gonna go to get to know you, and when we're done with get to know you, we're gonna talk about UFOs. This is gonna be fun. Are you ready?
I am.
Okay. If you were at a funeral and the body fell out of the casket, what would you do?
Besides bust out laughing? Boy. I'm feeling really bad saying bust out laughing because I would do that if I was in the audience. I would be like just laughing in my chair going, wow. If it was me personally next to the body carrying them out, I probably would be like, did we not buy a strong enough casket to carry this person out? I was like, man, what happened to this wood? Or I might even go as far as to think, all right, so their spirit wanted one more hurrah in the world. They went out with quite the show.
Many years ago, I used to clean a funeral home, and I would never turn my back on that body because I was always terrified that thing would sit up with my back turned and turn around and see that thing. No way.
Oh, I even would watch the medical shows, and you'd see the body like sit up, and you're like, oh my god, and they're like, oh, that's rickets. I'm like, oh, that would be even worse.
That's
be like working on the body, and it goes and sits up.
He warned me about it. He says it does happen. It doesn't happen all the time. He's like, but I just want to let you know because sometimes we have the caskets open and they will sit up, and I'm going, no, you didn't have to tell me that. You didn't.
You know, it'd be worse is if the casket was closed and then it set in it. They pushed it so hard it opened up.
I didn't work there that long. No. It freaked me out. I mean, I was literally backing out because, they want the floor vacuum with no footprints. So I'm literally backing up, going the long way. No. Mm-mm. That's too much. Family don't want me. I'm sure aliens would run away from me. Oh, we're going to have fun. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Number 2. When was the last time you were what? So sleep deprived, you put something in your mouth that didn't belong there?
Wow.
I will pee myself.
I would have to say the only time I've ever been that sleep deprived, I just freaking blacked out and passed out and never thought to put anything in my mouth. So, sad to say at this point, I have never been so tired I put something completely strange in my mouth.
I'm not going to say anything.
I'm still young yet, though, so I'm not saying it's never going to happen.
It'll happen. Just wait.
I've had other occurrences where I'm so sleep deprived, like I go to put ice cream in the refrigerator and stuff like that, where I'm like, why am I in the refrigerator? I have no reason to be in here.
Lunar says, I could not do it. I did my mom's hair when she passed. Hardest thing to do, but they would have put me beside her if she sat up.
Actually, oh man, I would love to think if I was sitting there and the body popped up from rickets, I would just turn and be like, so, what do you think of your funeral so far? Just start having a conversation. You're like, are the people you thought would show up here? Are you happy with the turnout?
Right? And then she says, have you found all paranormal people don't sleep well? Yeah.
Yeah, we do see and hear some stuff on evidence that can cause us to get a little sleep deprived, but it tends to make up for itself.
Yep. It's funny because my husband sleeps just like that. I'm sitting there going, did you hear that? Did you hear that? Because now it's making noises in the house. But I think most people that do paranormal, you have to keep up the weird sleep habits.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not that you have to investigate during the day. It's the necessity of it because there's no traffic. People are out and about, and it makes it easier. You don't have all the contamination. So you have to put up with these weird sleep hours. But with me and my issues, I can do 24 hours easy. No naps.
I have been up for 24 hours straight, and I will admit that I do, at that point, tend to get them a little more loopy, uh, making no sense.
Let's see. Leonard says, I sleep, but I don't sleep a lot for hours. I mean, like most is 5, and then I'm tired. I don't sleep at night. Oh, LOL at all. I can do cat naps here and there, but
Yeah, if I do a nap during the day, my sleep schedule's shot.
right. Okay. Number 3. If you were against, oh my God, my writing's horrible. Be patient with me. I had a rough week. If, oh my God, if you were, oh, okay. If
I'm
you
wondering
were,
about the missing link too.
I think we all are. If you were against Mega Monster, what? If
Mega
you were against
Monster.
a mega monster, what city would you? Oh, if you were a giant mega monster, oh my God, I'm sorry,
Oh, if I was the
a
Mega
mega
Monster.
monster, what city would you rampage, and why?
Oh wow, I could answer it, but I'd probably get a lot of hate mail for it. But let me see. As a Mega Monster, I would say I would pick. Hmm, that's a good question because I want to try and pick somewhere that doesn't normally get tortured by Mega Monsters. So I feel like it'd be more fun to see the people's reaction. I'll be honest. I want to say Washington D.C. so I could clean it up. Um, let's go with.
Oh, Amy. Don't do New Orleans.
Amy, New Orleans has been through enough. No, I was looking for somewhere in Europe.
Oh,
Uh,
Europe.
I would say maybe a place like, no offense to the people there, but somewhere like Hamburg, that's like nobody really pays attention to the city, I think, because it's never in the news for anything worth like noting in this current climate. So it's like, yeah, let's give them something to talk about.
Mine would be if I was a mega monster, I'd go to California and just see if I can create the big earthquake. Isn't that awful?
Yeah, but you watch all the mega monster movies, and they're always in California and the coast and Hawaii.
They're trying to earthquake happen, and part of the state goes into the water and
I
becomes
know
an
they're
island.
trying to get rid of certain people. I know what they're doing.
Ah, Tokyo.
Yeah, there is Tokyo.
But bless their heart, they already are dealing with stuff.
Vegas.
Vegas. Oh, Vegas. Hello,
Vegas
Johnny.
wouldn't be so much fun because everybody be so worried about their chips. Nobody would care what's going on outside.
Right. Frank says you do Mexico.
Yeah, but Mexico, well, I've thought about Mexico City, but I was like, with their past cultural history, they've been through a lot.
They're still going through a lot
Yeah.
with other cartels.
Ooh, that would be fun to take out
There
the
you go.
cartels
There
as
you
a
go.
mega monster, target
There
the
you go.
cartels.
You can make your way down to South America.
Yeah, there
Just
we go.
start
That'll
picking
be
them
my
up.
answer. Cartels.
I'm
Start
stuck
in
on
Washington,
that.
D.C. and work my way through the cartels.
Oh, that's not. Oh, the city is sinking. I was about to say what?
Destruction while eating tacos. Of course. That's why I destroyed it. The taco wasn't quite fresh enough.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
Rampage over a bad taco.
And then I don't know what Ed's going on about. Could ET have given us tools, knowledge, and animals?
Ed, I am a huge fan of Ancient Aliens. I have a friend that's on there, and so I've seen a lot of the stuff that they talk about, and I have to admit the math does not add up that we did it. So I lean towards the page that something or some beings came and hooked us up with some of our mega structures that we have today.
We're going to talk about that. So, and then we have already answered all of ours, haven't we? No, one more. When was the last time you were nervous?
Ooh, the last time I was nervous would be, for personal reasons, last week. For paranormal reasons, would have been 2 weeks ago.
Oh.
And that was leading up to the interview. I was a little nervous about what's going to happen, what's going to go on, how's it going to go, because it was my first one to set up. So, obviously went great because I came back.
There you go.
And last week was just personal stuff with dealing with holidays. I'll kind of leave it at that because I tend to keep private about personal stuff.
Well, yeah. I can't remember the last time I was nervous. It was, I guess in the beginning when I started seeing the little thing in my house and seeing my dog react to it. Got me a little nervous. because it
Oh, the
snuck in on
first
me.
time. I thought you said the last time I was nervous.
When was the last time you were nervous?
Yeah, not my first time.
No, well,
Okay.
trust me, this wasn't my first nor last time with this little critter in here. Okay.
What?
We
One night stand, Frank. That's funny.
oh, Frank. One night stand. And then we've got sports physical.
Sports
Wait,
physical.
what? You cheated on me, Frank? How could you? And then, of course, my
Oh.
husband being cheeky. That call my
That call with my
with my
girlfriend.
girlfriend.
That would be a really nervous one.
Cheeky. Okay, are we ready to get into the subject? I know about that much. I know enough to get by.
Yeah,
So I've never talked about it. So you're the first on my channel to talk about UFOs and all the wonderful world.
I've had experiences, but I am in no way an expert.
More so than me. I know enough to be dangerous.
Well, that's the fun way to be.
Selena. She's nervous about her first investigation coming up with Dirty South.
Yeah,
But totally excited at the same
June.
time.
That's going to be in June.
And she did warn my husband. Be afraid.
Wife alert.
Okay, so what got you interested in the UFO world?
I would have to say the movie Contact, really.
Mm-hmm.
Because there was a line in there that resonated me when she is talking. Jodie Foster is talking to Matthew McConaughey's character and says, you know, he's talking about life out there, and when she says yes, because if not, it's a really waste of a lot of space, and that's the way I feel. It's like there's so much out there. There's gotta be life out there.
Well, to me, and I say this, it would be very naive to think there isn't something out there. We cannot be the only planet that sustains life and has all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
There's got to be more out there.
And I will say, I know I'm not the first to see it, and I know it's been talked about a lot, but when I was in Egypt, going to a bunch of temples and the pyramids, we all saw the hieroglyphic of a submarine, the helicopter, which is all modern technology, and this was on the ceiling. And there's no sand piled up to there, so how it got up there would have to be during its creation. And looking at that, I have to say that also made me go, yeah, there's got to be UFOs out there, because how else would you be able to describe modern technology in the very early days of civilization?
Okay, Luna has a question. If you watch Men in Black, when they open the locker and the world is in it, that we are in the locker, makes you think.
The scene he's talking about, I know which one it is when they open it up and they're like, oh, all hail, the mighty J's arrived. And then they close the locker door, and then they zoom out and they show that it's one door of many doors, and we're a door of another set of doors. And so, yeah, I agree with you. That is a great way to look at what's going on.
But, I look at it this way. People talk about portals. I personally don't think spirits need portals to transport wherever they want to go. I think portals are other dimensions to travel through. And
I would agree with that.
and it could be, I mean, look, since we don't really know, um, I would say it has to be like this interdimensional, just a wide array of things. Could it be angels and demons? Could it be aliens?
I would say so. And also, you got to think about, we talk about it gained notoriety with the Da Vinci Code, is the ley line.
Yep.
There are ley lines all around the Earth on latitude and longitude. And I took a map of the U.S., all the ley lines, and where every one of them intersected is at least one or two of the top 10 haunted locations for that state.
Mm-hmm.
And so I would definitely say the ley lines do a lot to create portals and vortexes to where I don't know necessarily that it creates the spirits, but it gives the spirits energy to be able to do what they need to do to get attention.
Well, believe it or not, a lot of haunted locations will say, yes, I've seen weird lights in the sky. So it's not unusual for people to say, yes, I've seen it. Like at the Conjuring house. You know,
Yeah,
Andrea saw it, and she swears that she's been visited. They've actually come to her and visit her. She says she's been taken into the ship. She swears all this, and still to this day talks to them.
Yeah, and there's also the Skinwalker Ranch.
Yep. Oh,
It's
that place
visited.
is crazy.
Oh yeah.
I'm not done watching it.
There's also, I know this is going to get into the so-called controversy topic, but I believe in looking at a bunch of underwater pictures that there are definitely underwater bases, or what we would call bases. I think it's like cities for them. And so I would say, you know, we're definitely not alone here, but I think Doctor Who actually made it the best way. Is they had a race of beings called the Silence, and you could only see them when you were actually face to face with them, but otherwise they would just disappear and your memory of them would disappear. And I kind of think that's how it is they can make us forget what we've seen.
Yeah. Frank says, still say could be, oh, it moved on me. Could be, wait, what is he doing? What is he doing? Still could be aliens trying to contact us through EVPs. It would, considering we don't know what it is that's contacting us, I wouldn't say that's foolish at all to say. I would say it's a very strong possibility. We don't know.
You know, I'll even take it one step further and say we don't even know if the EVPs are from our dimension. We could be picking up chatter from another dimension.
Yeah. I mean, it is very interesting because, you know, I really study up on the Conjuring house because there's just so much there. I mean, she's not the only one to see aliens or spaceships and these creatures, and
right.
So I find it very interesting that she's not the only one that's seen it. The new owners, Corey and Jen, have seen stuff.
Right. All right, I got distracted by Frank.
Yes, it is.
I think you went to the wrong one, Frank. But yeah, And I've also had people who I trust and have verified information with them that near Skinwalker Ranch, I don't think it was Skinwalker Ranch though, is a place where they have found that beings will come from what we would consider Middle Earth, the inner core area. They come up and they're seen for a little bit and then they go back down. And so I would definitely say there's a lot that goes on around us that we're going to start seeing more about now as people start going around with cameras and everything more and more with the paranormal field. We're going to crack open some of these weird mysteries.
It is very interesting. I had watched a document. It was an interview with a guy who has wrote a book, and he was talking about the Indian mounds, and that the world's largest Indian mound is in Louisiana. I mean, this thing's massive. It's absolutely huge. But they were talking about there was an Indian mound in Ohio, which there's a bunch of them, so I can't tell you which one.
Serpent Mound.
Yeah. And they were told when settlers came, they asked the Indians or Native Americans, did you make this? No, it was here when we got here. And their thought on it was, how can a regular men build something so huge and compact it? And so what I found interesting is they found what they believed was a portal that was opened by blood ritual. And a shaman went up there to close it. And he tried and he tried and he tried and he tried. He finally gave up. And the minute he came off the mound, he says he was paralyzed. He was in a fetal position. And he's laying there going, oh my God, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? It just started snowing. And he said something came to him and spoke to him and said, you weren't given permission.
Right. There are a bunch of natural based portals around, and there are some that I will admit I think people not knowing what they're doing have opened up and they think they close it, but they haven't. And so it just gets to growing and growing and growing more and more and more.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's why I'm like staying away from the Ouija board and all that, because I'm like, you guys don't really know what you're doing with that, and it's not the game that people think.
Mm-hmm.
But I have come across a few places where I could feel the energy of it, and
Mm-hmm.
I would just stand there and just be like, the only way I could describe it would be as like you're standing in an ancient world. It's like you look around and yes, you can see the city and everything, but it's like inside, it's like your body is seeing nothing. There's nothing there.
Mm-hmm.
Like this is when it just started.
Yeah. Yeah, you can feel for me, I can feel the energy off of them. I mean, it's because we've got several here in Georgia, and some of them aren't, you barely, I mean, you really have to concentrate to pick it up, but there's some, yeah, you can feel there's something. It's crazy. So Luna says, I think that all this is tied together, paranormal, cryptic, and alien. I think it all ties together. I believe in it all. I have found that most that believe in one believe in all.
I will agree with that. And one of the experiences I talked about on my channel that I'm going to go and do another video about went to Arkansas, had a crystal digging place, and they also offer a paranormal and sky watching deal. And for those of you who haven't heard the term sky watching, it's basically you look up in the sky and you just look for UFOs and other stuff in space. And so I was on one of those, and we're on a stage platform looking out, and you can see the sky. It's out in the country, so you can see the stars really clearly. And we could see strange lights in the sky or on the horizon. And the owner and I were off to one of the sides after I was listening to people talking, and I was recording it even though there was nobody there. I could physically hear these people having conversations, and their neighbors are not for miles around. And we start walking towards the front of the stage, and we hear this loud sound behind us, and turn around and put a flashlight, and there's nobody there. And something inside me, it's like I hear a voice that says, "Look down," because your instinct is you're looking up, you're looking at your level, because that's where you heard the sound. And there's a crystal on the floor of the stage that was not there before. And I'm looking at the owner like, I got this look up, did this really just happen? This is really cool because this came out of nowhere. And she looks at me and she goes, "That's a gift for you." And so I picked it up and I took it home with me. And the cool thing is that Josh Gates was there with one of his shows.
Yeah.
And the other thing is we were walking the trails, and you would start to see these X's where it would be a small X to a larger X to a larger X, kind of like we would say like a megaphone or something.
Mm-hmm.
And I looked at him and I was like, I'm not sure how aware or what level everyone's at. And I go, "Does anybody notice this?" And they go, "Yeah, that's Bigfoot marking." And I was like in my head going, how do I say I think this is a Bigfoot marking? And I was like, man, everybody was like, yeah. And I'm like, and so the whole day, whenever I saw one, we're like, oh my God, that's a good eye. We never seen that one. That's a newer one. Or, yeah, that one, we've seen that one before. So it was a really fun experience. And that's what I like, is when the whole paranormal experience is in one.
Yep. I don't think I've ever encountered a cryptid, because I don't think elementals are part of cryptids. I think that's something completely different. Or I could be wrong. It could be in the cryptids.
Yeah, that's true about dogs. They are related. It's what I think how the story goes is the wolves would have traveled with the man across the bridge into the Americas, and so that's where the wolf part is, and the dogs came later, but they all do originate, I think, from the same species and breed.
I think they were brought here. I think dogs and cats were brought here.
Well, I've read a lot of documentation about like an alien race, ironically called the felines, which I was like, as I read it, there's a bird tribe, there's a feline tribe, and so we have a dog star. Why would they call it a dog star unless, there were beings that maybe looked like dogs that came from there?
If you're trying to say something, Eddie, your mic is mute.
Okay. I totally disagree with the common ancestor of a dog. The dogs that were in Egypt were very small whippet-like dogs, nowhere near a wolf. So if you look at a shepherd and a wolf, you could say like, oh yeah, it's kind of related. But when you look at that whippet that was already there 2000 BC, it's never the same as a wolf. And they still have to show me what is that point. What were these historical wolves? How big were they? What did they look like? And how did that become a dog?
Well, I think evolution took place just like as humans. There were giants around, and now we're down to the size we are, and there's even cultures around that are shorter, so like 4 feet is considered tall to them.
But that's the missing link.
Right.
Because you can say mammoths were around. Yes, a mammoth died out. Elephants are not related to mammoths. Because where is that transition point? As Darwin says, evolution. So you should find mammoths that have no hair. Then you find mammoths that get smaller. Then you get mammoths that get even smaller. And then it starts resembling more to an elephant. But we don't have those links. We have mammoths and we have elephants.
Right. Now, I have one that'll really blow your mind, Ed. Octopus. Do you know that there is no species on Earth that has any link to an octopus, and the fact that its DNA and genetic code cannot be found here, but yet it lives in the oceans? And so that alone, that's like, it raises a question, where did they come from? And I have a feeling that some of it is genetic manipulation that was done in our past by some not so friendly alien races to kind of build a slave race. And yes, I know that sounds a lot like the Stargate movies and series, but I have some friends that have told me a lot of that is kind of based in truth. And so, it's just one of those things that until we can build a time machine and go back in time and actually look at.
Well, the thing is, and this is what you can ask any scientist, and you ask him, where did water come from? Where did the water on Earth come from? We're 70% water. Where did it come from? And their answer is, and don't laugh, okay? But the official answer is, there were ice molecules on asteroids that hit the Earth.
Oh, see, I was going to simplify it and say there was 2 hydrogen atoms going for a walk, and they found an oxygen molecule hooked up, and bam, water.
So anybody that knows ice and you melt that, you get a little water out of that.
Right.
So can you imagine how big these asteroids must have been to cover our Earth with 70% of water? It just doesn't make sense. They keep saying it, but when you ask those questions, you ask about the missing links, you ask about where did the water come from, they come up with the weirdest ideas.
Yeah. I think I lost Kim on that answer.
He's like, can you imagine how big? I see an asteroid with frozen water just pulverizing the world. Did they take it like the Discovery Channel?
That goes back to the 2 hydrogens finding that oxygen. Bam.
And Amy says Bigfoot yells are the eeriest thing she's ever heard.
Yes, they are. Because it sounds like nothing you've ever heard before.
I think I've heard recordings of it.
Now, something else that'll blow your mind is I have been reading up on that there are places around the world where if you put a microphone to the ground, you can hear the earth humming like a generator.
Wow.
So it begs the question, A, are we actually a planet? Or B, are we living on the surface of a machine?
Maybe
Because
we're
nobody ever goes into the Earth's surface. We always will explore the water or
well, you do have the mines that go very deep in South Africa. I mean, those things go deep.
right.
I mean, a lot deeper than like, our stuff here.
Yeah,
And
I
I mean
mean,
that's creepy because the scientists there actually went into the very as deep as they could go, and they were actually pulling up living things, out of these
yeah.
rocks.
And
Which
our
I mean,
history, unfortunately, is being rewritten, but people in the community don't want to rewrite it. I have a friend that's doing work on the Bosnian pyramids and has dated them before the Egyptian pyramids. But he's been getting a lot of flack for it because they're like, no, it's got to be Egypt first because that's what we've been told.
interesting, very interesting. Uh, Frank says,
Hello. Sumerians were there 4000 BC before the Egyptians.
Right, but these
So,
actually even
so
Bosnia
Iraq,
predates
I
them as well.
honey,
yes, honey,
he's saying Bosnia,
I know. So
which
if you
I
look at
do. Go ahead.
no,
Go ahead.
if you look at birthplaces, then that area of the Middle East coming down, because you can see the track coming down to and Yugoslavia is part of that. I can't say that anymore, but I don't care. That's what I learned in school.
Yeah,
But it's part of that track coming to the where the Egyptians and the Greeks come from.
yeah. Frank, I think the ones in the Inca pyramids are younger than the Egyptian. But an interesting thing to note is they are on the same latitude and longitude and line up with the same stars constellations they're finding now. Like the Great Pyramid lines up with the Orion's Belt. And being in Egypt, we hear about the 3 pyramids of Giza. There's actually like 6 to 9 pyramids there. It's just everybody takes a photo at a certain angle so it looks like 3.
Ah, and they just found a new mummy
Oh,
in a
they're
very.
always finding mummies.
It's in a very unexpected place, but he's very, very posh. That's the thing.
Yeah. I mean, when you get little children that are lost, they're always looking for their mummy.
Oh, that's bad. That's bad. That's bad.
Uh,
Okay, so third question. Do you believe that alien visitors, are increasing?
I would say yes, because of the crap and nonsense that we're doing here. I would definitely say it's increasing because I kind of think the way we react with each other on this planet and the technologies we build, they're kind of like we're the laughing stock of the universe. Sitting here building
We
bombs
don't
that'll.
know. There could be one worse than us. And maybe we're slowly growing.
I
I'm
don't know.
trying to be
I
nice.
mean, I kind of think we're the only planet that comes up with a bomb that will incinerate each other. I don't know of many cultures that goes, hey, yeah, let's incinerate this place. The people will be gone. We won't be able to live there for centuries,
But
but
we've
at
been
least we
warring.
won.
But we've been warring since day one.
I know.
I
That's why I
mean,
say we're like the laughing stock, because all these people have been like, dude, we're in the stars. Y'all are still fighting over land on your own planet. You haven't even figured out there's land outside your own planet. God, could you imagine if we colonized the world and space? How horrible our space would probably be. It'd be like Earth in space.
I mean, I would have to say yes as well. I mean, would I want to come here and colonize? No, 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 no. I think a lot of them are hidden. I mean, I when you told me about water, I was like,
Oh,
okay,
the
I gotta look.
USOs, yeah.
I was like, I gotta look into that. That is crazy. Oh my gosh. I mean, some of the stuff they were showing was, I was like, okay,
Now, it was like almost a decade ago, with Star Wars being so popular, they did a scan of the ocean floor, and it literally does look like there's a Millennium Falcon on the ocean floor. It's the exact outline of the Millennium Falcon. And everybody's like, hey, look, Star Wars was here. And
I know they believe that there is possibly an old ancient underground thing off of the coast of California that's not being used anymore.
it's in what is that mountain range there? I wanted to say Sierra Nevadas, but I don't think that's the one.
Mm-mm. This is underwater.
But yeah, there are. And if you look back at, what was it, in the 90s, early 2000s, when they had that mysterious object fly up out of the ocean, and everybody was like, oh my God, Los Angeles is under attack. I was like, because this missile looks like it comes out of the water out of nowhere, and they still haven't been able to explain it.
Don't freak
But
out, y'all. You're seeing shadows back here. It's my kid. So don't freak out.
But yeah, so I would definitely say there's, I think, a lot of USO bases in the oceans.
Well, what I find very interesting is I've listened to a lot of people talk about when they're working, when they are on a base. It doesn't matter what base, Army, Navy, whatever, that they see all kinds of stuff. And I just the other night listened to a guy who um, he was stationed, I think, in Oklahoma and decided he was going to make a trip. They had like 2 days off. They were going to go camp. And his friend found this large plateau. And they went and they were visited. Weirdest experiences ever. And he says, I couldn't talk about it. We couldn't talk about it. We'd get thrown out. This was the late 70s. He's like, we couldn't talk about it. And then he became a state attorney general. So he definitely couldn't talk about it. And
Right.
he says, when I retired, I was like, I'm going to talk about it.
I think the military has a lot to do with the extraterrestrials that visit here, because I would say, in all honesty, with the way our cultures and the way we work, it's a wonder we're still alive and we have a species that's thriving so much. And so that alone to me says, yeah, something has come here that's kind of put a cap on how much destruction can we do to each other.
Frank is asking a question. Do you believe Bob Lazar?
You know, I was just thinking about Bob Lazar when you were talking about that. I I have no reason not to believe him. I I don't, why make up such an elaborate story that can be so easily checked? I mean, they've checked and he did work near or at Area 51. He was credited through the schooling that he said he was.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I mean, obviously we don't have his work records from Area 51 to say, oh, he was in this hangar. So that part, you have to take on blind faith because, yeah, I mean, of all the things you could make up and claim working in a secret military base, it seems strange to me to pick something that so many people are talking about and could easily cross-reference stories and say, oh, yeah.
The interesting thing is there's a lady on YouTube and she does body language. She reads body language. And she actually did Bob Lazar, when he first started talking about it till today. And she says he's telling the truth. All signs, he's not being deceptive, he's being open. She just pointed out everything and she's like, I believe him. And then she did it when he was older, just now recently talking about it. And she says the only thing she sees that's changed is he's more anxious. She said, but that could come from the treatment he was getting.
Right. Because anybody who says, oh, yeah, I've seen a UFO is instantly like, yeah, we need to lock you up. You have obviously lost your mind. And it's like, that's wrong. That's what I don't like about our society right now is there is no belief until proven wrong.
Right. I have no idea what they're discussing about in the chat. Weird.
Something about the Goldbergs and coming home from school.
Frank says the fear of our government. Yeah, because they can swoop in and literally label you nuts.
Well, I don't know necessarily that I would say it's the government as much as the deep state that's really pushing an agenda, and anything that doesn't agree with their agenda, you will see all of a sudden anybody who says something about it is all of a sudden out of the blue under attack or being decredited, and it's like, really?
And I mean, it's sad because a lot of military people have reported seeing things, and then you just don't hear anything about it. It's crazy. Okay, so what reason do you believe UFOs have for visiting us? I know we checked it.
For visiting us. For a second there, I was like making sure I heard the question right. Because I was like, I've seen UFOs. I would say the reason for visiting us is to help us evolve into a place to where the only way to really describe it would be is because of my sci-fi background of watching science fiction stuff would be is like into like a Star Trek Federation of Planets to where we all share technology, we all help each other as we're exploring. Where at the same time though is I think they're wise enough to know you put us up there now that we're going to cause more problems than we can fix. So
We'll become the Megatron.
yeah,
They're like,
so
no, we
they're
can't have
helping
these.
us get ready.
Right. And the other thing I find interesting, and I'm like on the fence on this, is the people say I've been visited, they took me into the ship and did things. And I'm not talking about probing. I'm talking about
Oh, excuse me. Wasn't expecting that comment.
I'm not talking about probing. I'm talking about foreign bodies that are found throughout people's bodies. Like the guy that I listened to that was being interviewed says that night when he saw one craft, but it was huge. He says it was like a size of apartment building, and he ended up finding this square thing right at the top of his calf muscle behind his knee. There's no scar there, and the x-ray technician even examined him and was like, there needs to be a scar there for that to be there. And then his other knee, it looks like a little floret, like a little flower. And he says, oh, that could be, bone chip or something like that. And I was like, what? So, I mean, do you believe that, Sam? Because I'm on the fence. I'm not sure.
Now, my personal stake on this is aliens have been sharing technology with us, because how else could we have cell phones like we have and all this technology where we can talk to Europe in a matter of seconds on a handheld device? And so my take on that is there's just a group of people who got their hands on this and are experimenting and just seeing what effects, like what can it really do, what will happen. And so that, I think, is pretty much my take on what the implants are. Is, yeah, there's probably some alien races that are, trying to understand us better. But I think some of it too is they're trying to weaponize stuff, and so they want to see what effects it'll happen, or can, like, if we put a transmitter in somebody, can we really pick this up without anybody detecting that it's there?
Well, the interesting thing, they brought up the subject of being tracked. It's like a tag, and it's their way of tracking us without constantly scooping us up and doing something.
Yeah, let's see.
just
My personal take on that is just like I hear, like, there's a group of people that think you need to shine a laser into the sky so that a UFO can find you, and I'm like, yeah, these people can cross through space like no tomorrow. I don't think they need to put a tracker or need a laser to come down and go, hey, look, there's our friend.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're pretty smart enough to go, hey, experiment 1A is over, at his house. They don't need a tracker to know that.
Mm-hmm. So we're getting into a very juicy topic that I find very interesting.
I think Frank agrees.
This one's about the giants. Do you believe giants were sent here from another planet?
I don't know that I would say from another planet. I tend to know, I've talked with, I know, Frank, I'm trying to keep straight face here. There was...
Nobody wants to talk about probing. That is just Yeah.
There was a group of beings that are from another planet. We're called Watchers, and they watch and study and see what's going on. And there was a group of extraterrestrials, we call them angels, to make us feel better, and created Nephilim. It's in the Bible. Nephilim were giants that would roam the earth. And when they started getting out of control, we had a natural flood that supposedly wiped them out. Now, two things to me that points to the extraterrestrials helping us out is if we're being invaded by giants and the earth gets flooded, where do we get that much water to flood the entire planet to wipe out beings that are superiorly taller than we are? Imagine how high that water level would have to be. And the other thing is, they came out of nowhere. They were mixing with humans, and so that ties into, like I was saying, is, there's the genetic manipulation. So, what do you do with experiments that go wrong? You wipe them out and you try and start over. Unfortunately, we don't take and say, hey, live out your life, die when you want. No, we say, that's a failure. Scrap it, start another one.
Because what's interesting is if you look at the Mesopotamian and the Sumerian, you can see the carvings. They actually have, they have the actual carving of a giant riding a dinosaur.
Yeah, the Anunnakis.
And to me, that's very interesting. And the way we listen to it, it sounded kind of interesting, is they're the ones that came. They're the ones that brought us all the animals. They taught us math and they taught us, all these things. Somebody had to teach us something.
Well, I mean, look at the story of the Babylon Tower, the Tower of Babel.
Mm-hmm.
When they started building it, everybody spoke the same language, they said.
Mm-hmm.
Then as they got higher and higher, what happened? The people started thinking they were divine, and the divine beings didn't like it. So what happens? They broke them apart, gave them different languages so that nobody could communicate with each other. Now, everybody had their own language, and the tower stopped.
What's interesting is the last giant sighting. Do you know where it took place?
In the United States. Or wait, no. Last one, I know there's been, Asia has them, Africa has them, South America has them, North America has them. The last one might actually be in the Pacific. No? Where?
Middle East.
Oh, I thought for a second you were going to say Georgia.
Oh my God. Middle East. A group of soldiers out, patrolling the area, never showed up and was not responding. So they sent the SEAL team out looking around, and they ran across it. And it did kill one of the soldiers. They were able to kill it. And it was very interesting because they were very descriptive. Georgia has it all. That's why you should have moved here.
I remember reading stories about the soldiers running into so many things that they couldn't describe, and how they were coming back and being like, yeah, you don't have to tell us not to talk about this, because how the hell do you talk about this?
Well, it's interesting because they sent one helicopter because they didn't realize how big the sky was. And they're like, yeah, he's not going to fit. But they did hook it up where they could fly him. And they were very descriptive about him. He had the red hair. He stunk horribly. I mean, they said he was the most foul smelling thing. And, people started talking about it. And one soldier had stated, when you're out in the desert, keep your gun up. And he's like, okay. And he keeps it up. He lifts it up and he goes, no, 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 up. And he said, I could never understand why they wanted us to point the gun so high. And they brought it here back to America. And of course, all of a sudden, nope, we don't know anything about it.
Yeah. The other thing, too, about the Middle East that's interesting with the giant people is, what the other thing that they're all freaking, like, creeps them out, that's bigger than anything you've ever seen, the spiders.
Oh my God, don't even talk about bleh.
They have spiders there that they could literally walk over a human. They're that tall.
I haven't seen that. I haven't heard those, but no. Mm-hmm. I've seen grown men run like little girls away from these camel spiders.
Yeah.
I'm like, you got a gun, shoot it, damn it, do something.
Yeah, it reminds me of that movie, Eight-Legged Freaks.
The one thing that I found very interesting is I had heard a story somewhere out west. This lady, her father and her brother, long time ago, found a cave, was digging out the guano, and came across giant bones. And they just kept them. And she put the skulls in her little gift shop. Smithsonian caught wind and came and said, "Oh, we'll take those off your hands."
Yeah, one thing you learn about the Smithsonian is they don't ever just take things and put them on display. They will seize anything and everything related to whatever they don't want known, and it disappears.
Well, now this is interesting because this isn't the first time it happened. The other time was in Alaska. They were building a base, so everybody was, oh God.
Is that Stephen Hawking?
No, Bob Lazar.
Oh.
I know, I had to look twice.
Yeah.
I was like, so they're building in this military base. All the soldiers are there working on it. And a couple guys came across giant bones, the full skeleton. And, they were taking pictures and, hey, guess what? Guess what? And then guess who showed up? The Smithsonian.
Yep.
We'll take those off your hands. And again, and that was 1940 something. It was just right after the war. So, you're looking at mid to late 40s. And they have eyewitnesses that saw it, touched it. Not that many people are going to lie and say the same story over and over again.
Right. And Alaska is, wow. There's a triangle in Alaska that's got cryptids, the rumored thunderbird that's supposed to be the Native American most spiritual creator bird has been sighted there. They've got Bigfoot up there. They have lots of paranormal activity up there in homes. And they've had cases of UFOs around there. And like I was saying with, you know, the Stargate show and the movie, where a lot of that was taken for real and kind of like made for TV. There, I had a friend that said, yeah, there is a Stargate in Alaska, and that's why the electromagnetic fields are so
Mhm.
cattywampus there, and planes will disappear, or people. There are more people disappearing out of Alaska than in Bermuda
Mhm.
by a large margin,
Mhm.
but hardly anybody has ever heard of the Alaska Triangle.
I know. It's very interesting because I looked it up and there's a total of 5 triangles. And don't give me because I wrote it. I wrote it down somewhere. Where did I write it down at? I could have sworn I wrote it down somewhere, and I probably wrote it in the wrong place. But I know you got the Bermuda, you got the Alaskan, and then you have 2 more that are up north. I think there's what Connecticut. I think there's one up there.
I haven't heard of that one.
Yeah. Oh, I've have. It's not huge, but it's big enough. Um, and people seen like creepy things in there, like cryptids and hauntings are always real wonky. Um, but the fifth one is in the UK.
That one surprised me. There's been so much stuff done in the UK.
Hmm. And I know about the area because I follow an investigator that loves UFOs and all that, and he went out to the area that's notoriously known for it, and it's not far from, of course, a U.S. base.
Right.
And they went out there and they caught these weird lights that
Is
would
it
say,
that Rendlesham Forest?
I think so.
Yeah.
And they were out there and they found these weird lights. And literally, the minute they started tracking them, they said the light was on us as we're walking. And all of a sudden, because you didn't hear him, and then all of a sudden you hear all kinds of commotion going on, and there's military helicopters flying overhead. I mean, they said it was the craziest thing they've ever witnessed.
Yeah. UK, the reason why I say it doesn't surprise me is their land is so full of natural magic and stuff that it makes total sense there'd be a triangle there with the stories of Avalon and the Druids and all the races wanting to come there because of all the stuff that was happening there. It's like the land just calls out
Hmm.
to people.
It's very wild to hear about all these triangles and how each one is a little different than the other.
I almost wonder if Hadrian's Wall, so to speak, is like a borderline of the triangle because, I mean, let's look at the fact that here you have the Roman Empire and they're able to conquer into the Middle East, pretty much all of Europe, but then they get to the small island of Britain and they can only go so far.
Hmm.
That just doesn't make sense. Why all of a sudden it just stops? And what
Hmm.
happens too when they hit that line? The empire starts to fall, and
Hmm.
it signals the end of the Roman Empire.
Hmm.
So what happened there? To me, it's like it's got to be like a triangle or something. They
Hmm.
brought back something that just totally just ruined the empire, so to speak, and brought them to their knees.
I find it so fascinating, especially the Alaskan Triangle
Yeah.
and all the craziness that happens there.
Thank you, Lunar. Have a great night. It is crazy.
I mean, all the ships, all the planes. I mean, they
And they're
lost.
military too, which is like
Well, the military lost.
makes it huge.
Right. So I was watching, and they were saying the military plane, and it was a big one, left. This is during Vietnam time.
Had a
Vietnam. Oh my
senator
God.
on it.
Yes. And it disappears. They can't find the wreckage anywhere. Nowhere.
And just wrote it off.
Well,
this is a U.S.
but remember,
senator.
but hang on. How many more planes did they lose in the span of, I think it was a month? They lost 3 or 4 more planes.
Yeah.
Well, not lost, because one said he started having problems with his all his electronics and crash landed. But still, I mean, the craziness that happens.
Yeah.
And it's just like, what?
And then when you ask them why, this is so quiet, it's you don't want to scare the public. I'm like, the fact that it's been kept quiet is what's scaring the public, because it's like, wait a minute, what?
I think the other triangle is over near the Great Lakes. I could be wrong, but they did talk about how the waters of the Great Lakes is so unusual, and how many boats have gone down.
Oh yeah, the Edmunds Fitzgerald.
I mean,
lots of them. Yeah.
But I find it interesting that there are boats that have gone missing. Out in the Elastic Triangle. What?
Yeah, it's planes, boats, people.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's pretty much like you just do not want to enter this triangle if you want to stick around.
Right. I mean, I watched one story of a guy who was flying from Bermuda to Miami. And got into, he says, to me, it was like a time slip. But the fact that he could prove that he didn't use that much gas.
Yeah.
That was mind-blowing to me. It's like, how did he get out of it? What's the trick?
Well, I don't think it's necessarily got out of it. It's like, if you're in a tunnel, there's an entrance and an exit. He just, was able to stay, he didn't, I think from the way, like, he was describing it, is he was calm and didn't even realize, he's like, yeah, I'm in this tunnel of clouds and it looks weird, but he was just like, and next thing I knew, I was on top of Miami.
Right.
So I think because he didn't panic, he was able to just traverse through it to where, like, if you start to panic and you're like, wait a minute, my instruments are off, everything's going wrong, you start trying to turn around or something and maybe hit something that you shouldn't have, and you're gone. You're just disappear.
It's so interesting, all this stuff that just falls under the umbrella of the paranormal. The cryptids, I'm on the fence with it.
To me, the cryptids are dimensional because they appear and disappear so fast. They've got to be traversing the portals in and out of dimensions. I think it's just, we're just looking at beings from another world, and to us, it just looks strange looking at them. But to them, it's like we're the ones that are strange.
Right. There you go. Oh, there's one over Vermont. Go ahead, babe.
Yeah, he's been posting them.
Massachusetts. I knew it.
So there's Bermuda, Vermont, Massachusetts, Alaska. What's the fifth one?
England, UK.
Oh, the UK. That's right. So there you go, folks. We covered the 5 triangles.
I mean, it's mind-boggling.
You know, it'd almost be interesting to take the triangles and put them in a line and see what you get.
Yep.
You know, it's interesting you bring that one up about the Dragon's Triangle because they
Mm,
found pyramids off the coast of Japan underwater.
really?
And scientists and a lot of the paranormal TV show people have went there and they all say, "Oh no, this is man-made," but there's no way they would had to have been done above land and then raise the water level back up to buried in the ocean long enough to have stuff grow on it. So it's like, yeah, that doesn't make sense. And the currents are affected by it too.
Oh, that's interesting.
So yeah, it's got to be natural and something going on down there.
It's like Michigan Triangle. I mean, it's so strange. You got so many of these big, massive freighters, and they're sinking,
Yeah.
and
Now,
some of them they can't even find.
yeah. Now I don't know if this is paranormal or not, but there is a spot in Vegas. I think it's on the northeast side outside of Vegas in the mountains where they film a lot of the movies for going to Mars and stuff because it's a complete dead zone.
Hmm.
You cannot hear a plane fly over you. I watched as a plane came in, flew over me, and I never heard it. And you can't even hear someone yelling at you in this space. You have to literally almost be next to each other to hear each other. And so it's like,
Wow.
what's causing that? Where did that come from?
Right. That's interesting. I've just gotten into the Skinwalker Ranch, and it's blown my mind what's on that ranch. I mean, they're like, look, the old settlers, this is their area, and it's haunted. But
Well,
it blew my
the
mind.
indigenous people were there, and they
Hmm.
were like, "This is sacred land."
Well, I found it interesting because it was, I guess, the ranch manager started digging, and that's a no-no.
Yep.
And part of his head, his scalp separated from his skull. And
Oh,
no,
you're in the early part.
yes, yes. I've told you, I'm just now getting into all this. But it just blew my mind. And that during that season they go out and try to see what is making this plateau glow, and he starts getting affected again. That
And
place is weird.
they had a drone go out and was fully charged. They showed the battery, and then they went to launch it, and the battery died.
Yeah,
They couldn't launch it.
it's like this crazy.
And have you seen the weather balloon test yet? The
Yep,
balloon test?
yep, yep,
To where they were picking up not stuff from the ground, but from space.
yep. I mean, it was so. I was like, okay, this is just bizarre.
Yeah, it's like,
Like they said, it almost is like a dome over it.
yeah. And it goes into the ground, so it's like instead of a dome, I would almost say it's like a biosphere just
Yeah.
sitting in there.
Hmm. It's crazy. I mean, I mean, and then the basement of the keepers that stay there on the property.
Oh yeah, they found that
They
room that
found that
had
room,
charcoal in it, but nobody's ever been in there.
and it doesn't look like a fire or anything has happened.
Uh-uh.
what the heck is this? Yet the people hear knocking and tappings all through the night. I'm like, what? I mean, the place
I'm
is just.
I gotta admit, I'm kind of looking forward to season 2. They said there is another season coming, and so where they're going with that.
I find it so. Oh my god! It just blew my mind just watching that. I mean, they've done everything. Hello, Dale.
Hello.
We have tried everything to. They. I like the people they brought in because they're trying very hard. And I loved how he's like, oh, we got to test the soil. We're going to do this. We got to do that. Nothing's coming back. He thought maybe radioactive.
And then he got radiation burns opening that cistern.
Mm-hmm. What the hell is that? I mean, it's just bizarre. Frank, it's Skinwalker Ranch.
History Channel.
Yeah. See, I'm having fun now because we cut the cable and I haven't been able to watch any of these shows and I've been dying. I'm behind on all the paranormal shows. And then,
Yeah.
I saw that on
Discovery
Skinwalker Ranch.
Plus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it. I love it. My kid's even gotten into the paranormal stuff. He's like,
yeah.
Mama, I want to watch the scary stuff. Let's watch Kindred Spirits. Okay. He's not keen on Dead Files. Not keen. Okay. Let's do the video clips. We've got 3 of them for you. And I know my husband can hear me, so the first one's a closer look and a haunted painting.
So what it is there's a hotel in the Grand Canyon, I believe called the Touvre, and they have this painting that as you walk by it, the eyes follow you. Every time someone passes by this painting, the eyes watch you. And it's been around for decades. It's the owner of the one who built it, the first owner. And they say the legend is that he will not stop watching over the hotel. And so it's up on a staircase. And so I did where I walked by it. And as I was walking by it, you could literally see the eyes go. And I zoomed in because it was kind of shaky. So I was like, let's just focus on the painting and see what happens with the painting.
Uh,
You can't do it. I don't know why I've got a setting. I've got to sit here and arrange it.
As you can see, the eyes follow you, always watching.
It's a little hard to
Right.
tell in there, but yeah, it's like I was moving left to right. That's why the camera was a little shaky, trying to dodge people. And literally every time I looked, it was like the painting was looking right at me. It didn't matter what angle.
no. Ugh. Okay, the next one is Billy the Kid's grave.
Okay, so I was on a road trip in New Mexico, leaving Roswell, and we passed this Air Force installation that was really odd, but that's a story for another time. And my friend and I from Europe went to go see Billy the Kid's grave in Fort Sumner, where he's said to be buried. And the legend was that Billy the Kid would never let go of his money. And so in this video, you see there's a wrought iron fence around the grave, and then you can hear the wind blowing, but yet the dollar bills and coins all stay put right where they're at.
We hear you thinking. They're not blown away.
No.
You can hear the wind.
And you could argue the one bill that's sticking up may have a coin on it, but the bill next to it that's folded, how is it staying put?
That's crazy. I mean, you can hear the wind.
Yeah, I was like, it defies all logic that those bills are not flapping in the wind. They're not moving at all.
That's insane. Wow, that is. And then the third one is cabinet door moves on its own.
So we were on an investigation at the old Nazareth Hospital in Mineral Wells, and it was towards the end of 2020, in December, and we were down in the viewing area and we saw the cabinet door move. So we thought, oh, it's got to be wind or something. So we go up because there is a broken window in the room, and there was no wind. And we would literally watch as it would close itself and open itself back up.
There was no wind when it started to close. Oh, damn, I'm catching this too. Unfortunately, not on live. This is video. Looks like it's trying to move it. There it goes. Thank you for moving the door. Great job. How did you hear it creak? That means there's going to be some force. Can you open the other side?
Oh my God, that's crazy.
Yeah, and the wild thing was, it's like you could say, well, maybe there was a gust we didn't feel, and because it was propped open, it opened. But on the other side of the column was another door that was propped open, and it never moved the whole night. That was the only door, and beneath it, if you were to go back and look at our prior interview with 30 South, you see that's where the bang, that was all in a sequence. We were up there watching this move, and then we had the door slam, and we were hearing, like, we heard my name in digital form, and we're watching as pages are starting to curl up and back down, the door swinging different, like it either decided to close itself and then reopen, or it closed a little bit, reopened. It was just completely random, and it was like, that's why it's like you hear me going, hot damn, I'm actually catching this, because it's like, I can't believe I'm seeing this, and that's catching it too.
That's bizarre. And Frank said, even with a coin, the corner still should flap a bit.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. I mean, that's just crazy. Blew my mind. And the door. Hello. I always said hello to Dale. So before we go to next questions, anybody's willing to ask any questions, don't mind, just pop them in there and we'll throw them on the screen. So feel free to ask questions anytime you want. So have you? Okay, hang on. I was having a rough time,
I thought we were starting to play that drinking game again.
right?
Take a drink if you have.
So you have a history major.
Okay, so I have a drafting degree and a self made history degree. And the story behind that was when I was getting my associate's degree in drafting, I took a humanities course and loved humanities. I was like, this is so cool how it's the history behind the history, is how we were describing it.
Mhm.
And I was like, that's what I want to study. And so I made friends with the professor and I asked her where to go to school for it. She goes, University of North Texas. So I applied to the University of North Texas, got in, taking her word for it. Mind you, I should have done my homework, but come to find out, there is no humanities program.
Uh,
So I decided, well, I'll do history as education. Well, I couldn't get into the education program, even though I met the requirements. They said I didn't. So I decided just to get a history degree. Well, I took philosophy courses, history courses as electives. And when I went to graduate, my graduate advisor goes, wow, you have enough credits to graduate with a Bachelor of Arts or and a Bachelor of Science degree. I could have had both. He goes, you need to pick one. And I looked at him straight in the face and I go, well, I don't want to tell people I BS'd in history, so I'll take the BA. And so I
Right.
graduated with a Bachelor of Arts in history, so I wouldn't sound like I BS'd history.
Right. Well, having this, do you believe it has helped you in the paranormal world?
I think it has, because it taught me to look at things from a different perspective. Like, if somebody sends me a paranormal thing that's Wikipedia, I kind of look at it and I'm like, yeah, that's cool. But I learned in college, Wikipedia, anybody can type anything they want. It's not a credited source. And so I was like, unfortunately, with the paranormal, I was like, hey, if you're using Wikipedia to look for your locations, good luck with that.
Right.
And so I kind of have a skeptic eye of that. And it also gave me the desire to want to prove what I saw. Like, if I saw something, it's like I wanted to stay there until I could answer what it was, if I
Mhm.
felt I could. And I recently went back to the Hood County Jail, and when I was in with the gentleman that helps caretake the place as a volunteer, I think they're volunteers, but he was starting to explain to Josh and Marianne from Tippa TV stuff that was going on there, and he said, yeah, it was like a year ago, there was this paranormal investigator here that, and I go, had the rocking chair that we tried to prove, but we couldn't disprove all of it. He goes, yeah. I go, that was me. And he's like, I knew I recognized you. But what it was is we were looking at these mannequins in a corner, and we stepped back, and I looked down, and this girl, little doll rocking chair was rocking. And I go, look, it's rocking. And it stopped, completely stopped. Now, we were able to bump it to get the motion going that would match it. But every time we would say, hey, look, it stopped. Or, hey, look, it's rocking, it would just keep rocking.
Wow. That's crazy.
And of course, I didn't have my, this was before I was videoing. So, of course,
Right.
I'm not.
It always works that way.
Yep.
Always. It's like they know. Next question. Have you ever brought something home with you from an investigation?
Okay, my personal opinion, no, I haven't, because I use Organite, Shungite, Sage, a whole host of things to keep myself protected from it. But every once in a while, I'll be home from an investigation, and the next day or two, my parents will be like, "Hey, I think you brought something home. We need to clean the house." And so I'll be like, "All right, I don't think I did, but okay." And so I'll sage the house, or we'll diffuse sage or some other stuff like Palo Santo.
Mm-hmm.
But
I like the Palo Santo. Oh, I love that.
yeah,
Because sage, the problem I've never saged for spirits because, I mean, what it does is it totally just, you know, all the energy, everything is just with sage gone. And the Palo Santo is supposed to bring warm, happy feelings, positive feelings. And I use that a lot.
it's true that sage will wipe the energy, but you can also set intention to where
Mm-hmm. Oh, you have to.
only,
If you're gonna cleanse, you have to.
yeah, so you
But
can sage and still keep some of the energies that you want to keep. Like I can sage and say, but my spirits of my family, are fine, and I'll still feel them after saging, but I won't feel anything else. And the other trick you can do if you own the space and you don't have kids around is get a black 7-day candle and a white, yellow, green, just another color. You light them at the same time and don't ever blow them out. Let them burn all the way through. And how it works is if you have something in your space that shouldn't be there, the black candle will take longer to burn because it's fighting the candle to stay in that space.
mm,
But eventually loses and the candle goes out on its own. Now, the purpose of the other candle, whether it's done first or second, is you create a void when you suck an energy out.
mm,
That is to bring in an energy and fill that void. So when the other energy you just kicked out comes in, it has nowhere to go.
right. Interesting. Lucky you.
Some of this was learned by luck and curiosity, but some of it was learned from necessity.
Yeah. The next question. Have you ever, wait, hang on. Nope. Read that one. Have you experienced a shadow person?
I have. When I was growing up, I would always see shadow people or shadow animals moving around out of the corner of my eyes.
Did you find any negativeness to them?
No, I kind of found they were more curious and like surprised I could see them. And I was more curious, like, did I really just see that kind of mode?
Mm-hmm.
And of course, I was always respectful. I never would go and say, "Ooh, shadow, shadow, ooh, ooh, ooh." I was just like, "Oh, hey, so somebody's over there. Okay."
Right.
I let them be. They let me be.
I find it that they get such a negative rap. I mean, they really get a negative, horrible rap. And I mean, the one I saw when I was 16, it scared me, but it didn't advance or move. It just got bigger and bigger and bigger.
Right.
But I mean, being 16, that's frightening no matter which way you look at it. But they have such a negative.
Well, I find in the paranormal, you'll find there's two classes of investigators. The ones that are in it to really find the truth and validate what experiences are out there, and the others that are out there to just say, hey, here I am doing this. And the way I look at them is the first category, the truth seekers, and the ones that are really trying to figure out what's out there, are the ones who are listening for EVPs, looking at pictures, looking at videos, and says there's a spirit there, or I see a spirit, I see a face, I see something. Now the investigators that are out there just to kind of make themselves is the ones that'll automatically go, there's a demon here, or that's a negative spirit. And they'll just jump right to it without asking questions or anything to kind of discern what it is. And I started thinking to myself, going, look at society. Somebody says, because you're in jail, you're a bad person, you did wrong, you did all this. And so after a while, you start to think, God, I must be a bad person. I must have done all this, even though you never did.
Right.
Because everybody just keeps telling you it, so it's like kind of just sticks, whether you want it to or not.
Right.
And I think there are good spirits out there that, everybody says, oh, there's an evil spirit here. And you're like, dude, I'm not evil. After a while, it's going to be like, you know what? Screw you. You obviously don't care. Why should I take the time? And it becomes a malevolent spirit. Because that's what everybody is calling it. Now, I'm not saying there's no demons out there and there's no bad spirits, but I'm just saying we got to take time to actually investigate, try communicating with before we jump the gun and just say, just because something growls or something moves something or, makes a loud sound doesn't make it wrong or bad. It's just trying to say, hey, I'm here sometimes.
Well, it's really interesting because I watched an interview between this team, because they have, 9 investigators on their team. And one of them, right? One of them is constantly getting scratched. Constantly. The poor guy. And they asked him about that, and he's like, it doesn't worry me. It doesn't bother me. He's like, we don't know what it's like in that realm. And he says, are they just trying to get our attention and ends up going in too hard and scratching us? He's like, that's what people automatically think. Oh, I got scratched. There's 3 scratches. And it's the Holy Trinity and it's demonic. And like he said, he says, no, maybe they're just kind of grabbing you to get your attention because somebody's finally went, oh, hey, he has some abilities over here. I want to talk to him. And I thought that was really interesting to hear his side on it, considering he gets scratched the poor guy.
Well, one of the things that I don't like when I'm investigating is somebody on the team will sit there and go, hey, I want to be scratched. You can use the energy of anyone on this team. And I'm like, wait a minute. No. I'm like, you do not have permission to use my energy. And furthermore, nobody has permission to offer up anybody else's energy for anything. And
I don't think people realize when they say that and it comes out that they're like, oh, maybe so-and-so over here doesn't want to be scratched and doesn't want, this thing around them. I don't think people realize that.
Well, and the other thing too is people don't realize is when you offer up your energy, that's where attachments come from. Because just because you've taken your energy back doesn't mean whatever attached to your energy to use it, let go.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's one of my big no-nos is whenever I'm investigating and somebody makes that statement, you can use anyone's energy. I'm like,
No,
not
no, no,
mine.
no, no. Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
And when you were saying that about that teammate, you know, what I pictured in my head was think about when you grab someone's arm, you know, just to say, hey, if that person yanks their arm away, what happens? They get scratched.
Mm-hmm.
And
I
so
like.
that could be what's happening is they're trying to get our attention, like you were saying,
Mm-hmm.
grabbing the arm to say, hey, I'm right here,
Mm-hmm.
and we're moving, and we end up getting scratched because we don't realize they're there.
Yeah. Like Frank said, how would ghosties know they're hurting you? Maybe they're trying their hardest to make contact. Yep.
Yeah.
Because I mean, we don't understand that dimension, and you know, how do you know? Because you can hear EVPs, and you're having to say you got to speak louder so we can hear you, and all of a sudden it's like they're screaming it out at you, and it's like, yeah.
Yeah. Hey, Corey. Hey, everybody. Corey Kistner. She's on my Ghost Ship Hunters team. Great to see you, Corey.
Hey, Corey. But you know, I find it very just interesting to hear other people's side on how they feel, because I think people take too much of that. I've been scratched and it's 3 scratches and it's the Holy Trinity and it's the devil. No.
Well, and the other
No.
thing, too, is like the EVP I got of the little girl saying, leave me alone. I was just simply walking through the room. Never said anything. It was just walking through the room saying, hey, check out these dolls. Check
Right.
out what's going on here. Then you have those people that walk in are like, I don't think you can do this or that. And I'm like, you don't really need to antagonize the spirits to get them to react.
Right.
And so I'm the firm believer of, you know, when you're antagonizing something, you may not be getting what's in the room. You're opening the door for something else. And
Yes.
so I kind of view that as contaminating the scene, like you would think in a crime scene.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you just blew a fan in here and now everything is whatever. And it always cracks me up when I'm watching the paranormal shows when they're like, hey, you know, are we talking to so and so? If we are, can you make a sound? And then you'll hear a bang and they're running out of the building going, oh my God.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, what are you doing? And so I like to watch Destination Fear because I love
Whoa.
how Dakota and what is it? God, I'm drawing a blank on their names right now, but there's Chelsea is his sister.
Yeah.
Their best friend, God, I forget what his name is now, and the cameraman, the poor camera guy. They put him through so much. But they went to an investigation and said, can you make a sound to let us know you're here? And when there was a sound made, ran out, and then they came back in and they said, we're sorry we ran out on you. You just really startled us.
Yeah.
We apologize. Would you like to communicate, you know, now that we know you're really here? And I have to commend them for doing that because that's true. You literally just asked them to do something, and when they did it, ran out on them.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, why are you asking for them to make a sound if you're just going to run away?
Right. Yeah, it is very interesting. I mean, because you know, all you got to do is just calm down. And if you get that nervous feeling, ground yourself. I mean, like I had to explain to my kid, I was like, there's times where you'll see me touch the ground. I don't want to kick my shoes off. I mean, that's such a pain in the butt. So I'll just kind of get down and I'll touch the ground with my hand just to kind of ground myself. And you know, you just take it in. I
Yeah.
mean,
Now,
and I don't like the barking and the snapping. You know, the one thing is, like, particularly here in the South, you're talking to ghosts that were in the Civil War. So 1860s. You don't go in and start saying, is anybody in here? Or yell. No, you have to be polite. You have to say thank you. You have to say yes, sir. No, ma'am. You know, you have to use all that. You, if you're going to try and reach spirits, you got to get on their level. And if you don't know, then you do your research and find out. But to go into these guys that have fought and died in a war and go, bang something for me. I mean, just very nasty and demanding. It ain't going to happen.
well, that's true, but on the flip side too, you got to think as a soldier, everything is barked at you. You know, communication was yelled at you. So on the flip side with that, I might yell just because that's more what they're used to. Being if you're on a battlefield, that's what they would respond to. They wouldn't respond to somebody going, "Oh, hey, you know, if you feel like it, can you go over there and do that?" No, they're
Yeah, but these are Southern guys too.
it,
So you got to use your common courtesy. You know, thank you for giving me that knock. I appreciate it, sir. Not knock
yeah,
on something. And this isn't on the battlefield. This is in what used to be a hotel, train station,
right.
and then during the Civil War operation room.
Now
So
you'll notice in the video that we saw where the door was moving.
mhm,
I thanked them for doing it,
yes,
and then was like, "Would you mind doing it again?" You know, having fun with it.
that's why
But
I like watching you investigate, because you do show that polite side. Because think about how many people come through and bark demands at these spirits. Do this, do that, talk to me. Don't, I mean, just, and it's like, just stop
yeah,
and try a different approach.
I was on an investigation. I was fortunate with Mustafa and Daryl from Ghost Hunters, and I was investigating with Mustafa. Yeah, I know you've seen the video.
Oh, no,
In this,
I'm
in this,
reading Frank. Frank
oh
says, would a fake leg stop me from totally grounding myself?
no, actually, because all you gotta do is touch wood or anything out of nature, and that'll ground you. You don't have to touch the ground. You can, but where I was going with is Mustafa
Mhm.
said, "I'm sorry if we're treating you like a performing monkey. We're
Mhm.
just trying to communicate with you, and this is the only way we understand on our side how to do it." And the spirit started calling him a performing monkey for the rest of the night.
I know, I heard that. I laughed so hard. I was like, oh.
So yeah, it just goes to show that you know, there are times it's like I've even started doing it to where I'm like, I'm sorry, we're making you like a performing monkey that you know, but
Yeah.
we're just trying to make sure
Mm-hmm.
who we're talking to or what's going. We heard you right,
Mm-hmm. I mean,
and it's just wild to me how when you're nice, treat them with respect, you get more back, I think, in return than anything else.
mm-hmm.
And I like using lives a lot more than regular videos in investigations because people will see stuff or hear stuff that you can't see and hear.
Mhm.
And so you get them telling you, hey, there was this in that room. And so I simply ask people in the beginning, comment what you see and hear, when you see and hear it, where it's at, so I can go back and check it out. Because
And
if you tell me,
timestamp it.
so if you tell me like 2 rooms later, hey, you know, there was a voice in that room 2 rooms ago, I'm like, wait, which 2 rooms ago?
Mhm.
Because I may call a closet area a room, and you're like,
Right.
that's not a room. I'm like, in my mind, it's a room.
Well, see, there's interesting things. I mean, there's been things I've picked up for one of my friends who's up in New York and Full Dark Paranormal. And then my first interview, Joe is walking outside this cabin. And as he's talking, there is another voice over his voice, and it's a deeper tone than his. And I said, well, what about the guy that was talking? And he goes, you heard that? And I was like, yeah. He goes, I didn't know if I should put it in or not. I said, the guy's talking over you as you're walking around this cabin.
Yeah, that's like that. That's like that video that a friend sent me from Broken Bow, where there's a distinct laughter around me, but I never heard it. And it's like, yeah, you gotta. And one of the things that you'll notice when I'm doing my videos is and my lives is you'll hear jokes, you'll hear people being silly, you'll hear
Mm-hmm.
everything because I take the opinion of if I start editing out some of that, I may
Mm-hmm.
A, miss some evidence, or B, I'm like, somebody could look at that and go, were you removing where you set this up and you're opening yourself up to being considered faking stuff? And so I'm like, I know people will still possibly accuse me of faking stuff, but I'm like, you know what? You can look at this video all you want. It's completely untouched. It's
Mm-hmm.
what it is. Draw your own conclusions. But I don't believe in faking it because I'm like the real stuff is so cool. It's like what's the point of faking it?
Right. Exactly. It's just, I guess it's very frustrating. The other thing that bugs me is if you can't get anything on the spirit box, you just can't. Digital recorder. You can do it even on your phone.
Yeah, and I'm really honest when I'm investigating. I've had people when we're doing spirit boxes will say, "Did you hear this or that?" I look at them. You'll hear
It's
me on
hard.
videos and go, "I'll be honest. All I hear is static. I don't hear much with that.
It's
It's
hard.
hard on me because my
Hmm.
ears are super sensitive. So
Yeah, but I like
it's
that
like,
Phasm box.
uh,
Oh my God, I
yeah,
love
the
the Phasm.
Phasma box is really cool.
I
But
love that thing.
yeah, and the other app that we like to use, or I was using, was the Ghost Hunting Tools,
Hmm.
and it's got like 3 different functions in one. But the Ovilus feature in it doesn't say the words that it picks up. So you're constantly having to look down at your phone to see our words coming in.
Hmm.
And I think, well, in that case, I'm missing whatever's happening around me because I need to see what word's coming. And so I
Hmm.
was so thrilled when I got my Ovilus because I was like, I hear the word come out. And so,
Hmm.
and sometimes it'll come out so fast I can't make out what it says, and I got to go back and look at the log. But it's like,
The
wow.
Phasm box.
It's a
There's
computer, it's on a Windows 10, it's on a
Yeah.
computer. And it is a program that's based on the Spirit Box, but it took the static of the spirit box out.
And you can adjust. I think you can adjust the echo in it,
Right. And
which I don't like that much echo in it. It drives me nuts.
And I think they're based out of Europe because they got a Latin option. You can turn Latin on or off.
That I've seen somebody use that firsthand, and I was like, that blows my mind. I said I would take that over the necrophonics.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say it doesn't work 100%. I'm not going to say that, but it is just a 500 word bank. 500. Now there's a dude that's working on Ed's going to have to tell me because Ed found it. He is working on a spirit box. And this thing is.
Does it have lights on it and it's like a square rectangle?
Ed. Because he read it. I was like, ooh. What was the spirit box this guy's working on?
Hello. Yeah, hello all. Yeah. No, he's working. It has the parameter in it. It's got the basically all the 5 different gadgets you use to basically get a reaction out somewhere. He put it all in one machine.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, but what about this? Because he was doing something special about the spirit box.
I'll have to.
Something about that. Something about that. It was going to make complete sentences. Oh, he's going to go look now.
Yeah,
I have a Facebook friend that's building a spirit box, and I was thinking maybe that was it. That it's going to light up in the area where the voice is coming from, so you know where the spirit's at to communicate with it, and it's not going to have all the static in it. And because that's the other thing I think that's really hard on investigators is when you have a voice talking to you, you don't know where to look. And I feel like, out of respect, you'd like to look at who you're talking with, but where do you look? It's like, is it behind me? Is it in front of me? Is it right next to me? And so that's a disconnect, I think, too, that we need to work on with technology is to figure out where these are coming from. And I'm going on an investigation to a hospital in Yorktown, Texas. It'll be my second time there on Saturday. And I just got a new piece of equipment that I'm hoping works. I tested it out and it was working because when I tried it in a couple of videos before, I didn't have the tripod and it would just constantly go off because it was on the ground and I read you had to be on the tripod. And I was like, I tried it on a floor, still would react the same. And I finally bought a little adjustable tripod you can put it on. And when I turned it on, all of a sudden there was blue lights going around like chasing each other. And I was like, oh my God, it actually is working. It's doing the motion sensing. And I put my hand up to it because you can set how far out you wanted it to watch. And it would automatically stop the blue lights and turn red in the direction that it saw something move. So I'm excited to see. It's from Ghost Stop, and it's a 360 motion puck. So I'm looking forward to giving it a good testing on at Yorktown Memorial Hospital on Saturday.
Awesome. That is so awesome. I can't wait to see how it turns out.
Yeah. The unfortunate thing is I may leave it in an area, and if it goes off, go back to it. And so I'll try and stay close by it as I can and set it up where I'm at. So if it does go off, I'm not like down the hall, and by the time I get there, it stops going off, and I'm like, well, I know it was going off, but I don't know where now.
Right. That is so awesome. Because we are now getting to it's 10:40 now. So I absolutely loved having you on. You had so much to tell. It was so awesome listening to all your experience. The fact that you're on 4 teams and then helps out the Facebook page for Parent Unity. And I just think that's awesome. That is so awesome.
Well, it is fun and it is interesting, and I am looking forward to like Sirens of the Expanses came out of a Facebook group that came out of another Facebook group that I'm in, and she's a really cool lady. I met her in Key West and on my road trip, and she's really cool. She's got a great heart. She's really into the paranormal and wanting to help people learn how to do it the right way and learn how to use equipment and stuff. And we were talking one day, and she's like, yeah, I know I got this group, but when I go investigating, I want a team name. And so I was like, well, where are you? And she's like, I'm in the Great Lakes region. And I was like, well, there's water there. Well, and so I started looking up what's another word for water. And for some reason, expanses came up. And I was like, well, that's pretty cool. And it's also, sounds like a big area. And who's the biggest troublemaker on the water are the sirens.
Right.
And so I was like, hey, why don't we call it the Sirens of the Expanses? And we were like, yeah, and the image for the team is, if you ever see it, it's the Misfits Paranormal Research, I believe is what she ended up calling it. But when I helped her design it, it's a lady with a flowing dress that curtails into the water. Somebody was able to manipulate it, like laying an image on top of an image.
Wow.
So it looks like it was original. And there's a boat off on the water, and so and there's like a wave, and so it looks like this lady is hovering on the water, looking at the boat, and we were like, "This is such a cool image," and I was like, "Yeah, we gotta." And so yeah, I help her out when I can, and she allows me to share my adventures there when I have videos to share or other stuff. And same with the Ghost Ship Hunters group, and I've done scouting with them, going to check out places. And Potter Paranormal was a team I recently was introduced to. It was run by Ken and Eileen Potter, and Ken, unfortunately, is the one that passed away in February at a location. And what his dream was to run like a paranormal school, like an academy, to where you can come in, we show you how the equipment works, we show you how you can use it, how each piece of equipment works with another piece of equipment to validate this, and this. And it was so cool. And he fascinated with me with it and pulled me aside and asked me if I wanted to do it. And this was my first time with them that night. And the cool thing about Ken was I walked up to him and I said, I know you want me to use this piece of equipment. I've never used it before. I studied on it. I remember this about it, but everything else is a complete blank. I'm so nervous. I don't want to make this look. And he goes, You got an earpiece in your ear attached to a radio. I'm just a radio call away. Don't worry about it. You got a question, just radio me. And I was like, that just put me so at ease. And I was like, yeah, let's go do this. And I was with his wife investigating when we got the call about everything. And it was just like, I felt so welcomed and was like so much fun seeing people going, oh, wow, that's what this is reading. This is what.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like seeing everything that you see on TV happening right in front of you.
Mm-hmm.
Like we're standing in a room that has no electricity in the building,
Mm-hmm.
but yet a K2 that picks up electromagnetics is going into the orange when you ask it a question.
Right.
How do you explain that when there's nothing around to, make it go off? And there's nobody's on the radio. The cell phones, we found out, would have to be virtually on top of it to register on the K2.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like just watching it, and even me, I'm sitting there going, wow, this is really cool.
Mm-hmm.
And so hoping to start that up again soon. So that's how I'm able to do so many teams, is each team is different.
Right.
And some are in person, some are every time, and some are just when get together with someone, it's like, oh, hey, yeah.
You're right. That's awesome, though. That's very awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I want to say thank you so much for coming. I had so much fun, especially talking about a subject I've never talked about. It's been it was a little nerve-wracking for me at first, but I just thank you because, what can I say? You have been truly wonderful. You are packed full of knowledge, and I am just so appreciative you came. Ah! He's doing something weird. What's going on? Oh God.
Oh, cell phone.
Oh my gosh. So thank you so much for being here.
Well, thank you for allowing me to be here, and thank you for being open. And I love the conversations that we've had offline that have kind of led to topics that were discussed tonight, because not normally something like you're saying that's normally discussed. So it was pretty cool to be able to cover all the different aspects of the paranormal that I've had experiences with. And I hope I tried not to go back to the prior interview as much as I could to explain things and try to keep everything.
No, you did good. You did really good. Because I tried to change it up a little bit too. So you did wonderful. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you for having me, and I look forward to coming back.
Definitely. Thank you so much, guys, for being here. It means so much to me. And I was very excited to interview him. Sorry. He is just so packed full of knowledge, and it was fun, especially talking about a subject that I wasn't used to. I was actually nervous. Next Thursday, I have one hell of an interview. And I'm telling you right now, you guys are going to go crazy. He's in the paranormal world, and he owns his own business. So I'm not going to share too much just yet. I got to kind of lead you in a little bit. But I'm telling you, this dude's awesome. And I think you guys are going to love it, because not only am I excited to interview him, but you guys get to benefit from this interview. And that's all I'm going to say, because I'm going to end up spilling the beans. So thank you so much. Next Thursday, I'm telling you, you better come out in droves, because this, especially people that are investigating, you need to watch it. You have to. Thank you, Selena. Thank you, Frank. You're so kind. I love you. And everybody else, thank you so, so much. Have a wonderful night and a wonderful rest of your week.